Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back, all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados, friends, family, and other random passers-by. Today, I am pleased to announce that I'm going to play Space Assassin for the second time. Of course, after Talisman of Death, this does seem a little bit more like a generic dungeon crawl, albeit with a science fiction setting, which doesn't really change it that much from a normal dungeon crawl in a dungeon. But that aside, I'm still intrigued by what's going on here. I've already discovered a few things I'm not supposed to do in my previous playthrough, and also I found an instant of, insta-death as well. So in a sort of good old-fashioned vein of, it's very Ian Livingstone-y. I know it's not written by Ian Livingstone. This is written by Andrew Chapman, but it's very much in the vein of an Ian Livingstone dungeon crawl so far, both in style and also in how you can die very quickly with your insta deaths. Anyway, some things are a bit different in this one. You have gun combat as opposed to normal combat. You have, if you've got an armor score, which works like luck, in that every time you get hit by something, you test against the armor score, and it goes down by 1 point every time you test it, whether you make it the test or not, or whether you succeed the test or not. And so I'll just get started. Space Assassin, Episode 2. Boom. Okay, here we are. We got my supplies ready. I've got my pens, pencil, dice. I really should try some other dice one day. I've got my book, of course, and my character sheet to be. And I've got my skill, stamina, luck, armor. And of course, in this one, you don't have a stamina potion or any other potions. You have all rations. Instead, you have pep pills, which each give you 5 stamina back, and you've got 4 of them. I think it's 4, isn't it? Yeah, you got 4 pep pills, and they each give 5 stamina back. And let's roll for my abilities. Skill. That's a little bit better than last time. Stamina, 20. Luck, 9. And armor, 8. Because armor is possible to actually buy a little of as well in the beginning. You also, when you start, you have 1 die's worth of things you can buy something for. I got 6. Ooh. There's a little shopping list you can do before you start. Now, for a trained assassin, I'm quite surprised how little you have to start with. You have to actually buy a weapon before you start your mission. But so the options are assault blaster, electric lash. An electric lash is just a small handgun that does 2 damage. Assault blaster does 1d6, which is a bit strange. How it can actually do less damage than it can hit and do less damage than a small handgun. Grenade, gravity bomb, armor. Now the thing is, I know that in this game, quite early on, there's a place where you can get an assault blaster. So maybe, because I've got quite good skill now, maybe I should aim to go and pick that up. So if I spend 1 point to get an electric lash, so I have an electric lash, and then I could either get a gravity bomb, a grenade, a few grenades, or just lots of armor points. I'm going to get 1 grenade, so grenade. They're 1 each, aren't they? So grenade 1. Leaves me with 4 points. So I can spend the last 4 points to give myself more armor. So I don't know if that's the wisest thing to do, but I'll do that, and I'll give myself. So that's, you can spend half a point to get an armor point. So that's 16. So that is, it will go down rather quickly anyway, it seems. So those are my starting things, and I'll just go to the background. Mission briefing, as it's called here. For some time, Cyrus, the tyrannical ruling scientist of Odd, your local sector, has been harassing your home planet with his warped minions, destructive robots and evil creatures almost certainly of mutant origin. His most usual crime has been to descend upon your planet and kidnap innocent victims upon whom it is reputed he practices his malign experiments and surgery. In any event, his victims are never seen again. Well, they're probably seen, but they've turned into something else, perhaps. Now, however, word has been received that he intends to use your entire world for one gruesome biological experiment, in which he will cover the surface of the planet with radioactive isotopes while showering deadly viruses upon all living creatures. The time has obviously come to stop him. Well, duh. To this end, the authorities have appealed to the Planetary Assassins Guild, which has selected you to penetrate into Cyrus's huge starship, the Vandervecken, capture him and bring him to justice. Yes, not far-fetched at all. So armed with the latest and deadliest weapons, trained in 27 different schools of alien and human martial arts, protected by the best in synsomatic armored pressure suits, you set off searching for the Vandervecken throughout the local star systems and eventually catching up with it in a relatively isolated system some light years from your home world. It seems to be in the process of refueling and taking on supplies. You decide that your best bet is to smuggle yourself on board the ship's supply shuttle and let that take you to the Vandervecken. Secreting yourself. Aboard the Vandervecken supply shuttle, you travel from the planet's surface to dock with the main ship. As the shuttle approaches the enormous spacecraft, you clamber into an emergency escape airlock and await the sounds of contact. You check your spacesuit and weapons and rest your hand upon the door release, its hair trigger mechanism ready to snap down and hurl you into the void. In your headset, you can hear the ship's computer counting off the seconds until contact. When it reaches 0, you pull the door release and fly out low over the Vandervecken's silver hull, while behind you the shuttle rests like a tiny dart beside the bloated ovoid of its mothership. As you skim a few meters over the hull, you notice a small iris airlock, your target, ahead of you, protruding slightly like a black disc. Throwing out a magnetic clamp, you bring yourself to a halt, floating lazily over the airlock, your shadow cast starkly in front of you. After a few deft movements on the airlock mechanism, the iris dilates. You step inside, seal the entrance, and fill the airlock with air. You are in the Vandervecken. Stepping out of the airlock, you find yourself at the end of a short corridor, which is blocked in front by an impassable security door. Each wall has a small maintenance hatch, across which the legend "Caution" is boldly stenciled. On the steel floor, by the security door, is a small pile of what seems to be organic refuse. If you have a gravity bomb, you could use it to blast your way through the security door. Otherwise, you could examine the left or right maintenance hatch or take a look through the pile of refuse. One look through the pile of refuse may or may not be useful, but the pile of refuse, on closer examination, turns out to be the body of a tiny hunchbacked alien critter. Rags that were once clothes wrap its skin, and its 6 bony limbs lie tangled beneath it. A trail of blood indicates that it must have crawled out of the right-hand maintenance hatch. Rolling the creature over, you notice that it has an electronic device clasped in one hand. Its finger is on the button, and bright wires lead up the arm and disappear into the remnants of a sleeve. So, will you remove this device from the body, or leave it alone? I'm thinking maybe it's just a trigger mechanism from a bomb that isn't there anymore, but possibly. I'm going to remove the device from the body because it might come in handy later. We just don't know yet. So the device is a small black square with a large red button set into it. The wires leading from it attached to a portable power source. So like a power bank, I suppose. Nothing happens when you press the button, and as you can see several other places where some other widget is meant to plug in, you deduce that the device is incomplete. You put it in your pack. Leaving the alien, will you examine the left maintenance hatch or the right? Now, we came from the right, and of course, trying the left last time didn't work so well, so I am going to go to the right hatch, and let's see, so we're doing like so. Hang on, there's one more option. Just have to check something now. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Just in case I missed something there. Yeah. Okay. So I want to go through the right hatch. So that is 77. The hatch opens easily to reveal a long, dark access tunnel crowned with conduits and aluminium lattice work cutting through the ship. Climb into it and work your way slowly forwards, coming eventually to another maintenance hatch, through which you can hear a muffled gurgling voice. The tunnel leads on into the darkness. Will you open the hatch? I will. The hatch leads into a small lockup occupied by a faceless humanoid robot armed with an assault blaster and guarding 2 cells. The gurgling voice you heard is emanating from the first of these. The robot does not seem to have noticed your intrusion. Will you ignore the room and continue up the tunnel, or attempt to destroy the robot? Alternatively, you could attract the robot's attention and try to engage it in a conversation concerning what it is guarding, which doesn't work so well. Probably because your opening line is "I say" rather than "hello there," or whatever greeting you do to a robot. How do you greet a robot? Anyway. As you have the hatch for cover, you may lob a grenade in at the machine. I'm not going to use a grenade for that. And the guard robot has a skill of 7 and a stamina of 6. And now that I actually know how to do the combat, I'm going to do it properly, because last time I messed it up a bit. So 11, 20, and 7, 6. I'm so used to doing the normal fighting fantasy combat where you're actually fighting against the other's skill because you're trying to attack and defend at the same time. This is firearm combat, which means you are not trying to defend yourself against it because you can't, and you are just trying to hit, which means each combatant is rolling against their own skill, and that means whether they hit or not. And then defending yourself is a matter of whether you have armor or not. So he's got a skill of 7, he rolls a 9, so he misses, and I've got a skill of 11 and I roll an 8, so I hit. And I do 2 points of damage now because I've got an electric lash. Very deliberately, I want to get the assault blaster from winning this combat. So he rolls an 8, so he misses. I roll a 7, so I hit, and I do 2 more damage. He rolls an 11, he misses, and I roll an 8, so I hit, and the robot is offline, I suppose. And I go to 264. The robot terminates, I suppose is the right word for it. If you don't already possess one, you may add the machine's assault blaster to your weaponry. So now I also have an assault blaster. So I suppose now I can choose whether to use the lash or the blaster when I fight someone. Just 2 seconds. There we go. Okay. A bit sniffly today. Okay. I think it's because the weather just got really cold and rainy today, and my nose just responds to that instantly. Right. So I'm probably made for nice, warm, dry weather, so maybe I should go and retire in the Italian countryside or something like that. That's very expensive though. Anyway. One day, perhaps, So, yes. So, assault blaster to your weaponry. You climb into the room, the only sounds now being the crackle of small circuits popping in the robot's chest and the odd stifled cough from the first cell. So which cell will you look in first? I'm not going to look in the second cell because that is actually going to damage my armor. I'm going to look in the first cell because it has a clue that I feel that I should be picking up. The cell is occupied by a battered old man with scars covering his arms and bandages and stitches the rest. He starts apprehensively when you open the cell door, but upon seeing the smoking remains of the robot through the narrow entrance, he brightens remarkably, telling you of his kidnap and torture by Cyrus and giving you words of encouragement. He doesn't yield much useful information, though, but he knows a little about the pilot of the Van der Wecken. He's a canny machine, that pilot, the old fellow cackles. Worries about the strangest things. Mind, if he asks you anything about thinking or feeling, say you don't know. That's the safest course. So that may be something useful for later. We'll find out if we ever meet the pilot. So if you haven't already, you can look in the other cell. I'm not doing that. Or I'll leave the room via the maintenance hatch, turning to 134. A few meters down the tunnel, you find another small hatch. Listening, you can hear nothing. The hatch just feels rather warm. You may continue along the access tunnel or open the hatch, turn to 3. So I want to go into that hatch as well. At least it seemed to be a good choice earlier. Through the hatch is a small room with several large steel conduits rising out of the floor and disappearing into the ceiling. It is from these conduits that the heat you could feel through the hatch emanates. Crossing the room, you come to a sliding door, which you open a fraction and peer through the gap. Before you is a large and, for aliens, fashionably furnished room. Odd couches and chairs, tables at just the wrong heights, and lights set to just this side of 2 blue. Seated reading from electronic resource sheets are 2 rodent-like Fosniks. Their white lab coats and tiny pince-nez, for their equally tiny eyes, betray them as being technical types. Would you enter the room and either threaten or attack these hench beings of Cyrus, or leave them alone and return to the access tunnel? I'm going to go and threaten them because they are scientists and they are, well, nerds. They don't really stand up to bullies so much. You take them completely by surprise. They fall to the floor, raise their paws in supplication, and beg for mercy. We are but humble scientists, they squeak. Have mercy, don't kill us. You ask them where Cyrus is, but they claim ignorance, saying that they just work in a lab down the corridor. Here they indicate a security door behind a decorative screen, and that Cyrus seeks them out when he wants, not they him. I believe them, I suppose. You force them to strip and then tie them up. While they are stripping, you notice that each wears a small, narrow cylinder on a long chain around its neck. When you inquire what these devices are, they inform you that they are electronic keys to open the security doors on board the ship. Using these keys, will you proceed through the security door in this room, or will you return to the access tunnel? I'm going to go through the security door again and see if I can get on from where I died last time. The door opens onto a long, well-lit corridor. After proceeding down this for 100 meters or so, you come across a sliding door on the left. While the corridor continues into the distance, will you open the door or keep following the corridor? Now, I open the door and I can get an energy bar, which gives me more stamina if I am able to keep it. So I'm going to open the door and go to 174, and that rhymes, so it must be true. Right. Through the door is a small kitchen and dining area. Once again, everything is decorated in an alien style designed to make human behavior difficult, which is not true. It's not designed to make human behavior difficult. It's designed to make aliens comfortable. The food that is available on the Mealomatics is, without exception, unpalatable and raw. You do, however, find a couple of high energy bars, which you may take with you. They count as a single item for pack purposes. Well, that's another thing in this game, by the way. You have a pack limit. Weapons don't count, but other things, you have a maximum number of items of 5. So this is my item number 1 in my backpack. Actually, it's item number 2 because I also had the electrical device from that first alien. So energy bars, and that's +5 stamina. So I'll use that first time I need to get stamina back, I guess. But my armor needs to go down before I actually need to take any stamina damage, it seems like, so it will be a while yet. Leaving the kitchen, you return to the corridor and proceed along it, turn to 229. The corridor ends in a circular room occupied by a squat, armless, tripedal robot. This robot, which has a pair of electric lashes projecting from its chest, squawks as you approach. Halt, inspection point. Will you attempt to bluff your way past the machine or simply attack it? I'm going to just attack it because bluffing does not work. So, and you just end up losing more armor because then he gets a surprise attack on you. So I'm going to just attack it and go to 211. And then it says, in the fight, the robot will fire twice per combat round, each hit doing 2 points of damage to your stamina. So he's got 2 guns at the same time. And of course, when I got to this, I was wondering, can I actually have 2 electric lashes at the same time and do 4 points of damage potentially per round? But yeah, no, it's not clear. In any case, I'm going to be using my assault blaster. I think for this one, it should on average do more damage than the electric lash. And yeah, so I'm still at 1120. He's also got 7-6, and he rolls against his own skill twice. So he rolls a 7, so and a 4, so he hits me twice. But I can use armor twice to, and I don't need to roll just yet because I'm still above 12. I roll against 11 and I roll a 3 and I do 1d6 of damage. That is 6, and that was actually a very good shot because now he's dead. Right. But it did lose 2 armor though. Right. So I win and I go to 247. The robot falls over sideways, thick black smoke pouring from its shell. The room has 2 exits, a security door in front, on the opposite side of the corridor entrance, and another to the side. Will you inspect the remains of the robot? I will do that first, actually, because I'm a bit curious about what's underneath. The robot is a useless hulk, but directly underneath where it was standing you see a floor safe, its button-covered dial previously hidden by the robot's feet. Looking closer, you see there are 3 different colored buttons to press to open it. Blue, green, and red. Intrigued, you decide to open it. Not getting an option whether to open it or not once you found it. Yeah, I'm not too happy about that. I mean, gamebook design-wise. Anyway, which color button will you press first? Blue, green, or red? Now, I did try green last time. That was an insta-death, which makes me a bit... maybe I should do a save game thing now as well. I'm going to try red first this time. Because the green is death and red surely must be the right one. The button depresses, making the save dial pulsate with a fluorescent white light. Which button will you press next? Blue or green? Okay, so we've got 2 options there. And I'm sure one of them is probably not a good idea. I'm thinking green probably is the last one. So I'm going to push blue next. Blue or green? 354. Blue. So I'm going to go with the blue. Or not. Okay, so I've saved my game, of course. The blue is also not the right one, so that means green is the right one. The second button depresses safely. When you press the third, the dial pops free of the floor, revealing the contents of the safe. Well, not really a safe, but a booby trap, for there, sunk into the floor, is a gravity bomb, which would have been set off had you pressed the wrong sequence of buttons. It is now safe to handle, though, so you may add it to your weapons list. So I get a gravity bomb. And now, of course, technically I've died twice, just to make sure we keep track of that as well. So I've got a gravity bomb. Seems like you can sort of pick up a little bit of equipment along the way then. Which exit from the room will you take? The door in front or the door to the side? So now we are back to that option there. So it is either the door in front or the door to the side. So that all down there, or I'm going to do the door to the side, I think. So 390. The door slides to the side to expose a large laboratory. You don't have time to take in details, however, as a tiny silver sphere descends from a niche in the roof and hits you with a laser blast. Lose 1 armor point. So armor is now 13. You will have to fight it. It's only got a stamina of 1 though, so I just need to hit it. It is quite likely to hit me as well. I just don't need to put that down here actually. So it's got a skill of 9, which means it needs to roll 9 or less, and it does, so it hits me, but it doesn't specify, so I presume that means it does 2 damage. And I need to roll 11. I didn't roll 11, I rolled 12. That's rubbish. Okay, so I'm going to test for armor now, and I managed to do that. 12. And new round, it rolls a 5 and I roll a 7. So I do hit it now and destroy it, but I still have to do another armor test and to avoid getting injured. And I'm down to 11 armor now. It really goes down fast. And I'll just put down here 9, 1. And then I win and go to 4. Right. After just 1 hit, the globe goes out of control and spins wildly around the room before disintegrating against one of the walls. Looking around, it becomes apparent that this laboratory is used primarily for biological research. There are the usual instruments of vivisection, electronic monitoring devices, and of course water tanks and cages for respectively amphibious and terrestrial victims. You find a number of items that may be of some use: a very light can of aerosol labeled nerve gas, a packet of 3 tablets unlabeled, and a rather huge dead but fresh crab. Bearing in mind that you do not wish to become overladen, you may take any 2 of these items. If you want to try one of the tablets, turn to 42, otherwise you leave the lab via the door you entered. Okay, so I can take nerve gas, sounds very useful. Crab. I'm going to take the crab as well. I'm not going to take the tablets, but I'm going to take a tablet just to see what happens. So there's items, I'll just put that, and then we go to 80, or we can also go to 42. 42 pill. Let's see, there is nerve gas, tablets, crab. Right. The tablet produces a momentary lightheadedness, followed by a sensation of returning energy. Restore 5 points to your stamina. You now have 2 tablets left, which you may take at any time to restore 5 points to your stamina. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I just said I'm going to take one of the pills. I didn't say I'm going to pick it up, but it does say I'm going to pick it up anyway, so I'm going to actually just pick it up. I'm going to need to drop something soon anyway, so I don't think that's going to be a big deal. So tablets plus 5 stamina and 2. Right, leaving the lab via the door you entered, etc. I'm going to 80, so start that way. Right. The door opens onto a long light corridor. Following it, you eventually see another security door on your left. Will you open this or continue down the corridor? So we have, let's see, I'm just going to move up here now. So, like so, I think. Okay. So 1, 3, 7. Left or 3, 9, 8 corridor. So I'm going to open the door on the left, obviously, because I'm exploring more than anything else right now. The door opens to reveal a comfortable-looking room whose walls are completely lined with ancient bound books. Oh, bound books, how quaint. Microfilms, that is definitely quaint, electronic resource sheets, and journals. On a table in the center of the room, you find 3 microfilm volumes that have been left out, presumably for someone to read. One is on the nervous systems of mollusks, the second is about neurotoxins, and the third is an article on robotics. They're all possibly relevant, but you only have time to peruse one of them. How do I know I only have time? Well, I suppose I've got a mission to complete. Which will it be? Write down on your adventure sheet which volume you choose to read. Right. Neurotoxins. I'm going to go with neurotoxins today. So neurotoxins is my reading of choice. Let's see, and I'm going to put here, so read and neurotoxins. Oh, hang on, maybe I should do the nervous system of mollusks. No, not neurotoxins. Mollusks and robotics. I don't know, robotics does sound more useful, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm going to do neurotoxins anyway. Write down which you choose to read, and then you return to the corridor. Okay, so that's going to be relevant later then, which one you have read. So read 1. So read 1. Okay. 3, 9, 8. The corridor continues for a very long while and still stretches into the distance when you come across another security door on the side. This one is stenciled Cephalo Squirrels, handle with care. Will you enter this room or continue down the corridor? So, okay. Cephalo Squirrels sound quite dangerous, actually. So 230 or 118. So squirrels or corridor. I'm going to check out the squirrels. Who doesn't like a squirrel, right? Opening the door, you step into a room largely taken up by a glass cage of tiny screaming creatures. They all have 6 legs and bulging eyes, and most have thick black fur, the other ones out having been shaved for no apparent reason. They're all leaping about their cage in great agitation, swinging from overhead boughs and rattling at the door. The only other thing in the room is a large open crate some meters from the cage. Will you try to have a closer look at one of the creatures, or look in the crate instead? So, who says you can't do both? So crate, 372 crate, or 99 squirrel. I'm going to look at the crate first of all anyway. The crate is almost full of an orangey purple fruit. As you stir it around a bit with one hand, you notice that all the squirrel things have become silent and are staring hungrily at you. Will you taste a bit of the fruit, pocket a few pieces, or leave everything in the room alone and proceed along the corridor outside? And that is interesting because there's no option of trying to feed the squirrels. I'm just going to leave this, actually. This sounds like it could be dangerous. So I've got I've got a bad feeling about this. I think that if I pick up the fruit, they're going to run after me. If I eat the fruit, they're going to come and try to eat me, possibly. So 388 taste. 393 pocket. Or return to the corridor. I'll just go back to the corridor. Thank you very much. And let's see what happens next. The corridor, after another 100 meters, comes to a dead end. On the wall responsible for sealing the passageway, will you press the left... Oh, hang on. Sealing the passageway off are two large square buttons side by side. Will you press the left one, the right one, or both together? So 3 options there. Left, right, or together. So 23, 61, or 156. Left, right, or together. I'm going to press them together, see what happens. 1, 5, 6. There's absolutely no reason why that should be a trap, really, when you think about it. If it is, it's going to be a little bit illogical, isn't it? 166. Okay. Without warning, the floor slides away and sends you plummeting down a narrow chute. The floor now above moves back into place, plunging you into darkness. The slide continues for a few minutes until the darkness gives way and you find yourself apparently ejected over an alien planet. Strange though, it looks very close and rather donut-shaped, not a planetary formation you had been aware could exist. You plummet down towards it, absorbing breathtaking views of wide alien vistas, panoramas, and rolling purple hills. Just before you hit the ground at something like 260 kilometers per hour, you mysteriously decelerate to land lightly. You no longer seem to be in the starship, but on another planet. From now on, compass points will be used for directional reference. Turn to 78. Now that is a bit queer. Right, so 78. You are on a grass-covered plain which rolls on into the north. To the west and south you can see... How do I know which way is north and south though? To the west and south you can see a blue-green forest, while to the east some low rocky hills rise out of the grass. Would it go north, west, east, or south? Okay. I'm just going to do it like so. I'm just not going to use the compass direction so much on my map now because that will be a bit tricky. So north, west, east, or south. 3, 5, 9, south. Hills, forest. I'm going to go north first of all. No, forest. Hang on. No. Hills. East. I'm going to go east first. Okay, east. You are in the midst of low rocky hills stretching for kilometers on all sides. Will you have a closer look around the hills' environs? Turn to 25. Or just try to get out of them by heading either north, west, south, or east. Okay. So, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 options. Maybe I should have done a separate page for this one. You know what? I'll just do a separate page for this bit because it looks like it could get a bit convoluted and you may get lost actually. So, oh, I think I lost my bearing there. Anyway, I'll find it again. So basically, we have, I'll just do it from the middle here now. So 78, and then we have north, west, east, and south. 3, 5, 9, 1, 2, 1, 126 and 158. So 158. So I can go west, which is back where I came from. I can go north again. And south. East. So 64. 84. 214. Okay, I'm just going to go to 214, go east again. You're on a grass-covered plain which rolls to the south, east, and north. In the west, some low rocky hills can be seen. Will you go north? Go to 102. East to 86 again. Well, not again, but east, yeah. South 122. Or west 158. Okay. I'm going to keep going east to 86. After a short distance, you come to a fast-flowing river which cuts across your path. Will you attempt to swim east across the turgid waters? Unusual turgid. Or walk north. 286. I wasn't finished putting in the numbers for the previous one, actually. 214 now is 102. Okay. So we attempt to swim east. 358. Walk north. 102 again, actually, yeah. Or south 122. Okay, so that's actually not like that. Okay. So go north 102. You're on a grass-covered plain which rolls on in all directions. Will you go north? 253. West 64. South 214, yeah. East 178. Okay, so 178. Okay. We'll go east again. After a short distance, you come upon a fast-flowing river which cuts across your path. Will you attempt to swim east across it, turn to 269, or go north, or south? Okay. 269. Okay, I'll go north. You're on a grass-covered plain which extends into the north and south. To the west is a forest, while to the east some low hills rise. Will you go north, turn to 288. 288. West 343. 343. South 102, yeah. And so I don't really need the arrows here so much, just lines. Or east 289. Okay. 289. I suppose I know what's going to be in the east there now. Let's go west 343. You are surrounded by a forest of short white trees with blue foliage. Will you search the forest, turn to 217, or go north 227, west 235, south 64, or east 253. Excuse me just a moment. Sorry about that, I'm back in the room. Right, and I was having the option here on 343 to search the forest, which is so I'm going to mess up my map now. So I'm going to do, let's see, so the search, I'll just put that in a separate bit somewhere. So this is searchable. Let's put a search there. And let's put that around somewhere else, like down here, for instance, 215. Okay, so I'm going to search now and have a look and see. Oh, I thought the right place. 217. I looked at the wrong paragraph there. 217. The forest is just what it seems to be, a forest. I suppose you can't see it for the trees. And you abandon your search and go either north, west, south, or east. Okay, so we also got west, which is 235. So there's nothing there. So minus nothing. Okay. I'll go west 235, I guess. Now, where have I been now? I started at 158, so I've been there, and there, and there, I suppose. Those are the ones I've done. But somewhere here there must be something interesting. Okay, so 235. You are on a broken plain covered by rocks, low red shrubs, and large black burnt patches. If you have been among these red shrubs before, turn to 307. Otherwise, turn to 271. Okay, that's an interesting one. So, no, I haven't. So I'm going to go to 271. So 271 or 307 there now. 271. You accidentally brush against one of the shrubs. It explodes violently, leaving a large burnt patch on the ground and burning your spacesuit. Lose 1 armor. So down to 10. Okay. So minus 1 arm. And turn to 307. Oh, I see. Okay. You avoid the shrubs. To the north, west, and south, you can see rolling grass-covered plains. To the east is a forest. Will you go north? 179. This is taking up a huge chunk of the book, isn't it? West 142. South 26. Hang on. Or east 343. Okay, so it's east. So basically, technically, this is one location, really. So, okay. Okay. Oh, why am I doing? That's not where the arrow goes from. It goes from there. Okay, so like so. South 26, I guess. You are on a grass-covered plain which extends to the south, west, and east, while to the north it develops into scrubby and broken badlands. Will you go north, turn to 235. West 159, so I suppose I'll just move that up over here now, 159. South 78, or east 64. I'll just move that one over there as well, maybe. Okay, so I'll go up in there. Okay, so I'm going to go to 159 and go west. You are on a grass-covered plain which extends to the north, east, and west. To the forest, to the south is a forest. As you trek across the plain, you see a shadow gliding over the grass towards you. Looking up, you see a massive winged scorpion diving at you with its sting lowered. There is nowhere to run or hide. You will have to fight it hand to hand. Couldn't just shoot it though, like a normal person. Right, so that's Scorpion 8, 6. Scorpion. Okay. So 3, 9, 7. If I win, I have to defeat it first. Okay, hand-to-hand combat. Good old-fashioned hand-to-hand combat. He's got 8, 6. I got 11, 20. So normal combat rules finally apply, and I've got a 3 skill point advantage. He rolls 4, I roll 7, so he's down to 4. He rolls a 9, I roll 7, so that is him down to 2. And finally he rolls a 9, and I roll a 4, which isn't that final, and I lose 2 stamina. He rolls a 7, I roll a 5, and he is dead. Right, and if I win, which I do, I go to 397. Okay. So, and then 397, and then I go north 142, west 341, 341. South 121 now, of course, or east 26. Okay, so I've been there. South 121. Must be something interesting down here somewhere. You are in a densely packed forest of very tall, thorn-covered trees. The forest stretches as far as you can see in all directions. Will you go north? 259. Yeah, no, that's the one. Oh, west 83. I'm just going to move that over there now, just to make these things line up-ish. South 323. Let's move that over there, actually. 323. Or east 78. Okay. South 323. You are in a wide open field surrounded by a forest. Will you go north, east, or west, or south? Okay, so north 121, yeah. East 359, yeah. West 27. Or south 115. West 27. You are in a choked and stifling forest. Huge creepers hang from monstrous trees, and the ground is covered in ferns, bushes, and other thick undergrowth. You fight your way through it with some difficulty. Roll 1 die. 6. If the result is even, turn to 65, and let's see, 1d6, and it's 65, 65, and 173. So that is odd, even. Okay, so it was even, and I go to 65. A large vine drifts out of a tree behind you and entangles your legs. When you stop to extricate yourself, another creeper slides over and wraps itself tightly around your neck. Other vines follow, aiming unerringly for your throat and gripping with vice-like intensity and strength. You are in danger of being choked. Each round that you fight the vines, you will lose 2 points of stamina from being choked. You fire at them. So they got a skill of 0. So basically I just have to fire until I defeat them. So first round, I rolled 7, so I hit them for 4 points of damage. So then I've got 8 left, and I take 2 stamina points of damage. Oh, sorry, that should be down there actually. 16, there we are. Next round, I roll a 6, so that's a hit, and I take and I'll do damage of 4 points. The pens are starting to get a bit smudgy now. So it's down to 4 points, and I take 2 more points of stamina loss. And then he rolls, or I roll a 7 on a hit again, and I do 4 points of damage. That was a round though, so I still have to take 2 points of damage. So I'm down to 12. And then I can take my energy bars and got up to 17. And then it's, so there we are, 0/12. Got 173. Will you go north? Okay, so now we are back here again. So it's north, west, 160, south, or east. Okay. Let's go west. No, south. South. You are on a grass-covered plain which continues into the west. To the north and east are forests, in the south some low hills. The north, go to 27, yeah. West, 2371. South, 289. Or east, 115. I'll go, so I've been there now, I've been there. I'm going to go east, 115. You are in an extensive forest of very tall bluish trees, all covered by extremely long thorns. Will you go north? 323, west 104, south 142, east 179. And this is beginning to feel like somebody was trying to pad in enough paragraphs to get to 400. I'm going to go east. You're on a grass-covered plain with a large chasm running into it from the east, like a huge axe cut extending as far as the eye can see. To the north and west are forests. To the south, the plain you are on seems to turn into broken, scrubby country. Will you search for some way down into the chasm, or go in some other direction? So 153, 198. So I'm going to go and search for a way into the chasm. You find some very rough cut and dangerous looking stairs hacked into the side of a cliff, which wind down into the chasm. Will you go down these stairs or in some other direction? So I'm going to go down the stairs and go to, so that is just off somewhere else now again. And 270 stairs. Let's search that. Okay. As you climb down the stairs, rocks slide from under your foot and whole steps disintegrate as you test your weight on them. It is a continual battle to stay upright. Roll 3 dice. If the result exceeds your stamina, you 3 dice. Step, roll 1 die, and okay. So I got stamina of 17 now. I'm rolling 8 plus 3, so that's 11. That's less than 17. Eventually, however, you make it to the bottom of the chasm and head east along the floor, flanked by enormous granite cliffs. After a few kilometers, you arrive at the shore of a wide, still lake which has formed across a turn in the chasm. There is no way to walk past it and no point in going back, so having zero risk of drowning in your spacesuit, you decide to swim across it. Turn to 324. Okay, is this what I'm looking for down here, perhaps? You are in the middle of a vast, still lake flanked by towering cliffs. Looking down into the water, you notice a metallic glint from a large submerged shape. You dive down to investigate and are confronted by a small submarine, obviously in working order, but currently unoccupied. Why obviously in working order? A tug on your heel distracts you from your find, especially when you turn to see that a house-sized octopoid bivalve has a firm grip on your leg with one of its tentacles. It drags you towards its shell. If you have read the book on mollusk nervous systems, this would have been a nice time to read that microfilm. Turn to 47, otherwise turn to 85. Okay, so mollusk question mark. That's what I called the book earlier. So then it is a yes or a no. 47 yes, or 85 no. So I go to 85 because I didn't read the right microfilm, possibly. You engage it in hand-to-hand combat. I suppose that's not too bad. I suppose you just would have got the advantage if you had read the right book, and you would have been able to beat it more easily. So I am at 1117, and it has a skill of 9, which is quite high, and an 8. So hand-to-hand combat, I've got a 2 skill point advantage, and he rolls an 11. I roll a 6, so I'm down to 15. He rolls a 5, I roll an 8, he's down to 6. He rolls a 3, very good. I roll a 9, he's down to 4. He rolls a 7, I roll a 6, which means I hit him as well. And he rolls a 10, I roll a 7, that means he hits me, or injures me rather. He rolls an 8, I roll a 6, that is a draw. He rolls a 10, I roll a 6, that is him hitting me again, or injuring me again. I'm not rolling dice that well today. He rolls a 6, I roll an 11, and that is the way to go, finally. Okay, so I won that battle, and I go to, so that is fighting a 9-8, and I go to 182. I always have to do a double take, because when it says if you're defeated, which if you read it really quickly, if you're defeated, but so I like if you win, because it's much clearer, and you don't have to do that's what you're used to seeing in these books, is winning rather than defeating. So the focus is on the monster rather than, or the opponent rather than on you. And you dive down to the submarine and climb through the airlock. Safe. There is only one control for the submarine, an on-off switch set into the arm of a chair in the conning tower. You turn this to on. The submarine moves, gliding into a tunnel in the lake bed. The journey takes a while and allows you some much-needed rest. Restore 4 points of stamina. Okay. Stamina plus 4. Right. So I am up to a 15. Which means I can then take one of my tablets and go up to 20. Right, let's go see where we are. Eventually you're surfaced into a large room, half of which is a pool of water for the submarine, while the other half looks strangely like the interior of the Vanderwecken. Okay. Climbing from the conning tower into the dry half of the room, you see that there is only one exit. You go through it. So I'm back in the Vanderwecken now. And let's see, maybe I should just go. I don't know where I am in the Vanderwecken. So 309. This is going to make my map a bit strange. I suppose at some point I might be able to link up this bit here with this bit over here. So that is the entry point there. I'll just mark that a bit more clearly. I'll just remove these. Okay. So 309. Okay. There must have been a purpose to going down there. There must have been something down there, excuse me, that made all that worthwhile, because otherwise that is a huge waste of space in a book. I mean, seriously, look at this. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 30, 31, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47 paragraphs so far, but of course there are others I have not looked at yet. That is a huge chunk of the book that is basically just going north, south, east, west. Yeah. Right. Behind the door is a path floating in mid-air at precipitous height over a wide and distant countryside. It must be miles below you, yet is still within the Vanderwecken. The path, looking tenuous and unreassuring, flies arrow straight into the distance. You head across it, eventually arriving at a T-junction. Okay, that's a bit weird. The path splits and flies off in 2 new directions, neither offering a visible end to the possibility of a fatal drop. Right. Okay. Will you follow the path left or right? This is weird, I think. Okay, so left or right. I'm just going to do like so. Left or right. 3:45 left or 50 right. I'm going to go right. After a number of kilometers, you see that the path ends in the large aluminium cube, also floating rather paradoxically in thin air. As you get closer, you see there is a door in the side of the house-sized cube. You cannot see if the path continues out the other end. Will you go through the door or turn back and proceed down the left-hand branch? Okay. 88 door. Opening the door, you discover that the cube is a heavily insulated room containing about 100 cryogenic sleep capsules, large white sarcophagi in row after row of frost-encrusted silence. Closer examination reveals that only 2 of these capsules are currently in use. Will you revive one of the occupants of these or leave the room alone? So 1, 2, 6, leave, or 164 revive. Of course, I'm going to revive someone and see what they have to say for themselves once they've thawed up a little bit. The capsules are indistinguishable apart from the life signs monitors, which indicate that the second capsule's occupant has a slightly higher metabolic rate than the first capsules. Which will you attempt to revive, the first or the second? Okay. I'm going to go with the first one. Yeah, 31 or 274. First, second. I'm going to go with the first one. You start the revive cycle. After a few minutes, some sounds of activity arise from within the capsule, which then swings open, letting out a monstrous spider-like creature, a bit bigger in the head relatively and smaller in the abdomen than most spiders. But nevertheless, a spider. Will you fight it, run away, attempt to communicate with it, or search through your pack for some alternative? Right. Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 options. 2, 3, and 4 options. Okay. Okay, so 69 fight. 1, 2, 6 run. 107 communicate. It does have a bigger head, doesn't it? So maybe it is smarter than a normal spider, the way I know it. 183 alternative. I'm going to have a look at my pack first. If you have either of these items, turn to the appropriate page. Large, fresh crab. That's what I was hoping for, actually. Or electronic book of extraterrestrials. Okay, so we've got crab, 202 crab, or 238 book. So I'm going to try with the crab, because I would be hungry if I'd been frozen down for I don't know how long. You take the crab and throw it at the spider's feet. He looks at it, tentatively turns it over with a claw and says, "Why, thanks." It eats the crab with some enthusiasm. Turn to 145. So communicating sounds like that could actually work. Now I'm going to mess up my map completely now if I get in the way of this stuff. I should probably have started a new page actually for this, but yeah, I'll sort it out when I get there. Right. Okay. You strike up a conversation, but the spider really doesn't know very much useful information, mainly stuff about insects and trees from its home planet of Tai, or T. It tells a sad tale of being captured by Cyrus for perverse experimentation, and in gratitude to you for having effected its release, it gives you a small sachet of what it calls anti-mollusk Formula 4. Evidently very popular on the planet Tai. If you haven't already, you may revive the occupant of the second capsule, otherwise you leave the room. So, okay, so you get anti-mollusk formula. Okay, so the crab is gone. And anti-mollusk formula 4. Okay. And you can leave the room, or let's see, start there, or second capsule 274. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to check out the second capsule as well. You start the revive cycle. After a few moments, some sounds of activity arise from within the capsule, which then swings open, letting free a human being. Will you try to strike up a friendly conversation with this person, or be a bit wary and threatening instead? Well, it's a human being, which means they're more likely more dangerous than spiders. They are the most dangerous creatures in the world, pretty much. So we have 346 conversation, or 310 wary. I'm going to strike up a conversation. I'll be friendly, and you start chatting quite pleasantly, although you don't learn anything new. The moment you become distracted, though, the person you're talking to metamorphoses into a hideous bat-like creature which attacks you. Okay. As you were taken completely by surprise, a monster hits you, doing 1 point of damage to your armor. Right. Turn to 220. It might have changed really fast for me not to notice. You fight it in hand-to-hand combat. Tharn Doppelganger. Skill 8-6. Okay. Right, I am at 11. And I really should do some... Yeah. And yes, 8-6. So I got an advantage of 3. He rolls a 6. I roll a 2. So I'm down to 9 stamina. I need to do some healing soon. 4 and 10. He's down to 4. 9 and 8. He's down to 2. And finally, perhaps he rolls a 7 and I roll a 2, which isn't very good. I'm down to 7 stamina. He rolls a 9. I roll a 3. I'm down to 5 stamina. he rolls 11, and I roll 5. I'm down to 3 stamina. He rolls a 4, and I roll a 9, so then he's down to 0. I need to... so I'm taking my tablet for 5. That's up to 8, and then I do 2 of my pep pills, I guess, which takes me up to 18 stamina. That's my... And I go to 13. Ooh. The found doppelganger is vanquished, not vanished. If you haven't already, you may open the first sleep capsule, otherwise you leave the room. Okay, so basically this one is not useful at all. The other ones might be useful. And I'll go down to 13 there. 113, and then we go down to 126 to leave the room. That was quite a long thing. The only exit from the room is through the door you entered by. Going through this, you trudge the kilometers back along the airborne path, past the T-junction and down the other left-hand route. Turn to 345. So I'm going to go all the way to 345 there. The path flies straight for a long while before ending in another T-junction. Looking down, you can still see the alien countryside, while to the left and right the path hangs in the air, precipitous and unending. Which way will you turn, left or right? Precipitous and unending. That sounds like a good description of this book at the moment. Left or right? I'll go left this time. You make good time. The path curves for a bit and then ends in a massive grey wall, which seems to extend down towards the alien countryside. Going through the door at the end of the path, you find yourself in what is obviously a security nexus. 2 dome-headed guards dressed in black with matching leather straps, boots and holsters are seated at a wide console, engrossed in a direct telecast from Epsilon Indy of 0G Fangball, which is showing on all 10 security monitors in the room. The guards leap to their collective feet when they see you, shine the tops of their scalps and take up assertive postures. Who are you? They ask suspiciously. Will you fight them, attempt to bluff them into thinking you are part of the ship's crew, or look into your pack for some other means of overcoming this obstacle? Right. So, 3 options. So, fight, 108, fight, 146, crew, 184 other. I'm going to look at my pack again, see what options I get. If you have any of the items below, choose which one you will use and turn to the appropriate page. So we've got aerosol can of nerve gas, deck of cards, container of ball bearings, pan-dimensional homing device, and I'm going to use the nerve gas, I suppose. So we have, so that's 4 options, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 275, there we are, nerve gas, 311 cards, 347 ball bearings, or homing device, 396 homing. So I'm going to try the nerve gas, see what happens. 275. You spray the gas into the room. Roll 1 die and subtract the result from each of the staminas of the guards. So first guard gets -6, so he's dead. Second guard gets -3, so he's got 1 stamina left. You use up the entire contents of the can. So the can is gone. If the guards are still alive, you will have to fight them. So I'm going to go to 108. Let's see, where are we? Nerve gas, yeah, and fight. As you are standing in the cover of a doorway, you may throw a grenade in at them. However, as they have a console for cover, deduct 1 from the damage result of the blast. If the grenade fails to kill them, they will shoot at you simultaneously, whereas you may fire at only one of them at a time. But one of them is already dead, the other one has 1 stamina left, so this should be quite quick. So security guard has a skill of 6, so he rolls a 9, he misses, and I roll 7, so I hit, and that means that he is dead because I do 1 damage, which is all I need. And then I go to 203. So let's see, so 6, 4, 6, 4, 1d6 damage. Okay. The guards are vanquished. Yeah, the writer really likes that word, doesn't he? Vanquished. Yeah, some strange wordings in this one. Anyway, I'll just move over to here, I guess, 203. But the red light is flashing on the video controls. Perhaps somebody or something has been alerted. You had better hurry. The room has 2 other exits. One is the security door and the other is a simple manual sliding door. If you don't already have one, you may take an assault blaster. So here's an assault blaster. From one of the guards. Which door will you go through? The security door or the sliding door? Okay. So I'm going to go with sliding door 257 or 109 security door. 257 sliding. I'm going to try the sliding door first and see if that is interesting. The door leads to a small kitchenette with a delightful aroma. A pot of coffee is sitting, begging to be drunk, and on the sideboard are some fresh sandwiches. Will you stay here for a while to eat, or will you go back to the security nexus and through the other exit? I think lingering here to eat is probably a bad idea, so I'm going to go through the security nexus. Let's see. So 293 eat. Okay, I'm not gonna linger because an alarm may have been sounded, so I'm going to go to 109. The exit leads you down a corridor and into a wide circular room whose floor space is almost completely taken up by a deep, still pool. Okay. The only areas not covered with water are a path leading around the edge of the room and a very narrow bridge without handrails which passes over the middle of the pool. Both of these lead from where you stand to another opening on the other side of the room. When you cross the room by taking the bridge or the path. Okay. 147 bridge. I want to take the bridge. You cross the bridge easily, the lack of a handrail being only mildly disconcerting. You go through the other exit, turn to 373. I think I'll just move this off somewhere else on my page now. In fact, I probably should go to another page soon. Through the opening is a chamber occupied by a brutish-looking extraterrestrial draped in large sheets of armor plate and toting a whopping great disintegrator aimed at you. In the wall behind this unfriendly being are 3 large circular doors. Stop, it says, peering at you with a pair of close-set beady eyes. To pass, you must answer my question, if you think you are intelligent enough. That's not how guards usually work, is it? Oh yeah, you can pass. It doesn't matter if you have permission to go past here or not, but if you can answer my question to prove that you're intelligent, you may pass. Would you attempt to answer the creature's as yet unasked question, look in your pack, or forget about niceties and just blast it? Right, so I'm going to, let's see, 15, 295, or, you know what, I'm just going to swap pages now, because I think I might need more of this if I go back there later, so I'm going to go go 373 here, 373, and give us 3 options there. Okay, so 15, question 295, other means, and 383, blasted. Right, I think I'm going to go with the question, see what that is about. What's the question, you ask? This, answers the alien. What is the next letter in the following sequence? OTTFFSSE. Okay. So what is going on here? I'll just use the back of one of my maps because I don't always usually use those at all. OTT, so the OTTFFSSE. When you have decided what the next letter in the sequence should be, determine the number of that letter. Multiply that number by 10, and that is a number you should turn to. If the page you turn to doesn't make sense, then you have obviously made a mistake and are destroyed by the creatures disintegrated. So do or die in that case. Okay. OTTFFSSE. So this is, and then, so there are different ways this could go. I mean, this could be the initial letters of something possible. Or it could be also a numbers game, like also to do with the numbers of the letters, but that seems a little bit, let's see. So let's do the numbers based on these things. So let's put this book aside for the moment now. So E is 5. F is 6. So 6 and 6. Oh, it's 15. That is 19. T is 20. Now, S and T are neighboring letters. So we got TT, they're the 20th letter in the alphabet, and SS, 19th letter in the alphabet. You got FF, which is 6th letter in the alphabet, and E, which is the 5th letter in the alphabet. The O might just be a distraction. So you would think that it should be, based on those ones, you would think that it should be E, and therefore 50. Could it be something else? Just trying to see. I can't see anything. It might be something else entirely obvious, but I'm just going to go with 50. No, that is actually wrong. So that means that it's not E, and I die. Okay. Oh, that's not the right map. That's not the right map. And let's see. So, so it's not 50. Right. That's a slightly different kind of gamebook experience, and almost half of it was sort of going around in a east, west, north, south, or certainly it felt like half of it. So far, it just feels like you're just wandering around aimlessly and blindly, and there's very little sort of indication of where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to do, apart from the fact that you're supposed to stop this Cyrus guy. So I must admit that at the moment I'm not actually really enjoying this book so much, which is a bit of a shame because I've enjoyed all the other ones so far. So it's just the concept is a bit somehow, and the way it's structured is a bit somehow as well. And I don't think it's particularly well written either, because I mean, it's sometimes the choice of words is a bit somehow. But there you go. I will give it another chance, of course. I may be proved wrong once I sort of figure out what to do here, but I don't know. It's just I'm not the biggest fan at the moment of this book, but I will get through it. I'll get through it. I've chosen now to. I've decided I'm going to do all the books, and hopefully this won't take too long because yeah, I don't want to get stuck in this for too many playthroughs now, especially if I start to get a little bit bored with it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching it, even though I sort of didn't always enjoy playing it so much. I suppose I enjoyed it a little bit. I always enjoy making a map and playing something for the first time, although this is the second time really. But yeah. Anyway, I'll see you next time with more Space Assassin, and hopefully this time I'll be able to make more sense of it and not be wandering around aimlessly on a strange planet that you suddenly land on in the middle of a spaceship. So yeah, so I'll see you then, and thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, join me on Patreon, all those things, and I'll see you next time, and goodbye for now. Bye bye.